7:01, we'll call the November 10th meeting of the Great Cloud Island Township Board meeting order. First thing is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Then the first thing, it says we got a guest speaker, Meghan Shea from Comcast.
Hi.
Hi.
So,
Do you guys want her to talk into a mic?
all right. Sure. Okay. Can you hear me? Does that work? Okay. Hi, my name is Meghan Shea. I am the Senior Manager of Government Affairs for Comcast. Recently started just this past summer. The city might have been working with Kate Hensing, who's still with our company. She just moved onto a new role, a different kind of role. I had the pleasure of introducing myself to Cheryl earlier this summer, maybe, or I should say this fall. And she let me know that there were a couple of things on the township's mind that we wanted to talk through and hear about and see if there's some different kind of solutions that maybe we can come up with some of the challenges you guys might be having. So I'm here to listen, maybe shed a little bit of light, but very much go back, see what we can find out.
Okay, well, I'll start. Okay, we only have one part of the township that isn't served by cable. Okay.
Geneva Avenue.
Yeah, and there's 6 homes on there.
Yes.
Okay, a lot of the paperwork here's got 3, but there's 6.
Okay.
Okay. And I got a few questions.
Sure.
Well, to get to the final one is, how can we get cable down the street far to these houses without breaking the bank? Okay, and then I'll throw all my questions out and see how you can answer them.
Yes.
Okay, we have some money, what, $26,000 a year for 2 years on the COVID, or?
No, it'll be a total of 29,000.
Okay, so we got a total of 29,000 coming from Cheryl, okay?
From ARPA funding.
Okay,
Yep.
and then the government just passed this bill that's supposed to have broadband
More.
money in it, and we don't know if we get that or what it is. Okay, and then on Geneva, trying to get answers from Comcast has been like impossible.
Sure.
Because let me tell you what happened. They started out, let me give you a little example. They started on the corner here. They brought cable down here to one guy's house, brought it into his house. He paid $13,000. I live right next door. I came out of that box. I dug the ditch to the house. I did that part. That was free. Okay. Now, when they put this cable to this guy's house for $13,000, they also brought a cable back, put a junction box down the street, and served at least one house, I think both houses. And I asked the one guy, what'd you pay? Nothing. So one guy paid $13,000. They ran it all the way to the house from the corner.
Right.
Okay, the other guy, they ran it, in fact, it was a 2-step process, because he told me, he said, I called in the fall, I got a business, I need cable. Oh, we can't do it now, winter's coming up. Well, we'll lay it on the ground and come back in the spring and plow it in. So, I mean, they came out twice, cost him zippo, nothing. And now all of a sudden we want, $100,000 to go down the street, so there's no consistency in the charge for, so what I'd like to see at least is some way, shape, or form, get it down the street.
Right.
And if possible, I think they told Dan, well, we won't let you dig your own ditch and put it in anymore.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Yeah, and I don't understand that, because we got 2 residents on the street that got backhoes.
Yeah.
They also told me $70,000 to run cable from the street down to my house.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I did ask a little bit about this particular project. You're right, the desktop kind of estimate, which is a rough estimate, it's not a final estimate, was over $100,000. It does sound like that they used to allow you to dig your own ditch, and that's no longer allowed corporate-wide. And then that there's a lot that goes into that depending on how far your house is from the node, how long the driveway is, what they need to lay and what services are being requested. So there certainly seems to be some challenges with this particular area of town. And that's what I know. And I know the rough estimate, similar to what you had said, is to serve, and I think what they were looking at was to 6 houses, depending on what you're looking at. We do have a per customer cost that we put in, but it's not much compared to what that cost is. Now, as you mentioned, there are some solutions that we're looking at. Part of the challenges with where you guys are located is possibly with the maps going out to NTIA, the National Telecommunications folks, and even the State Office of Broadband. They're kind of by district, right? So it may look like you guys are served when you're not, right? Because
Yeah.
they're pretty broad maps. What we're hoping to do is to drill down a little bit further as we're looking where to fill in these gaps so that there is understanding that you guys are not served. And we might ask for your help in doing that and look at some of the grants that are available. And there's, as you mentioned, different levels, right? So there's the federal money that's coming through, the state money is doing some of that, county's got some, and then you've got some. So there might be a way to help piece together some of this.
Okay.
We don't know for sure, but we know we can start there. And that would be, there's $70 million to the state Office of Broadband, Diane Wells, that they are creating the rules and regulations for right now, the requirements for, and then to apply for those grants. Small grants have been granted in the past to other communities, and so we could help you apply for a grant from the Office of Broadband. We might need some help, like a letter from the township, a letter from some of the residents explaining some of the challenges, and then identifying this area as under or not served.
Okay.
And that might help. We know that Washington County has decided to designated $2 million to broadband and tech, and they're writing those rules right now. I checked yesterday, there aren't any requirements out yet. We know other counties like Anoka or some others have said we're going to give every city a chance to get 50-50 funding up to a certain amount. I think there it was like $125,000 or $150,000. So depending on what's happening with that money at Washington County, we could, with your help, start a conversation maybe with the county to see if there's some money there to help. So once you're starting to piece together some of these pieces, you've got some of your ARPA funds coming through, and then we don't even know what's coming out of the latest infrastructure bill.
Okay.
I mean, we do, we've been tracking it, but what that looks like and how it's going to be applied is certainly open to discussion.
Well, anything you can do to help us, we'd be appreciated, you know.
Yeah.
And then it would be nice, I don't know, you know, I'm sure nobody up the chain wants to listen, but like I say, it kind of irks somebody when, I mean, he can get a backhoe, one guy owns a backhoe, you know, and we got these long distances, and people are sitting there, you know, well, somebody wants, you know, $50,000 to dig a ditch from the street to my house, and I got the equipment to do it.
Right.
And when I put mine in, there was absolutely no problem. I mean, I dug a better ditch than they would have, you know.
We even
I mean,
asked to lay a pipe where they would just have to fish it, then they would do
Yeah.
all that, and nothing
They
to
said
do it,
no.
they can't even walk out, and yeah, it's like, I'm not paying 70 grand for, that's ridiculous, that's,
Yeah.
And our street, the way I drew it up here is, you know, they could come down the street and they really only have to install 3 boxes along the street, and you could go down the property line and 3 times and serve 2 homes off each run.
Yeah.
You don't have to run 6,
And I think part
6
of the
times.
challenge is how long those driveways are and where those easements are, and those are conversations we'll have to continue to have, I think, because obviously I'm not the construction
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
I know that those are some of the challenges, and as we get closer, you know, or start identifying some of these funds, we'll have to do an actual walkout, right?
Yep.
That will cost some money for us to walk it and get a more
Okay.
precise cost to it. But, like I said, I think the silver lining here might be that there's a way to try and piece together some of this.
Okay.
We can't guarantee what's gonna happen, but we're closely in touch with the Office of Broadband. We're keeping track of how they want those funds. A lot of times in past grants, they've requested a 50-50 match, right?
yep.
From the city. That might not necessarily occur with the most recent money, right?
Yep.
Because it's really out there to serve some of those smaller communities. So this might line up. We don't know for sure.
Yeah,
Their hope is to put some of those regulations and rules out by the end of the year, for sure by Q1.
Okay.
Right? And then they have to go through the application process, and we can work with that, and we can we understand the application process, we just might ask for some help with letters and
Yep.
evidence and those types of things. And then go from there.
Yeah, anything you need, let us know, because
Yeah.
we'll,
And I'll keep in close touch with Cheryl, and I'm sure she'll, and I'll
Yeah.
make sure you have my contact information too.
Yep.
as well.
okay.
I think that's the best way that we've identified so far to fill in some of the gaps. And certainly, we're not the only service that has that, but it's a
No.
challenge for
And
sure.
I know we have a meeting coming up December 9th with SWTC or whatever because they want to offer a match or something also,
Sure.
so we're trying to figure that out. But
So maybe
we've
this
just had a tough time trying to get somebody pinned down to, like he said, we'd rather our money spent, get down the road, then at least everybody has an option if they want, and then, kind of take it from there, but it's so hard to just, it seems like it'd be an easy thing. Here's the houses, let's just get a breakdown of down the road, what's that cost, and then, to house, whatever,
And
and,
then there's all the other business decisions.
yeah.
Yeah, that go into
Yep.
it. So I
Yeah,
totally-
because, you can see where we're upset is, like I say.
Seems like it's right there.
I borrowed
Well-
my backhoe to do his job for free, and now I can't do that for my house.
You should have did it at the same time. No, but I mean, like I say, you turn around, you look, and, there's no consistency in the pricing. Mine wasn't really free because I dug the ditch, but the one guy's totally free. The other guy pays 13,000, and now,
Yeah.
so it's like, who?
And unfortunately, I don't have that background, but I
Yeah.
can understand where that seems frustrating. And from what I understand, as things get further apart and there's certain, feet
Yeah.
from a node, from a feedback, from a power supply standpoint, there's a lot of complex things that go into that I am certainly not the expert
Yeah.
on. But
Well, what they did tell my neighbor when they put his in, the guy that
Yeah.
paid the 13,000, they had to go back up the street a long way and put in bigger cable, for lack of better terms.
Yeah.
But they made the comment to him, we have enough, what do you want to call it? Bandwidth, enough server power up to this point to take care of this whole street.
okay,
So, that's what they told him.
Sure.
So, but anyway, well, we appreciate you coming down, because you're the first one that ever showed up.
no, and I will keep showing up as long as I can. I
Yeah.
just might not always have the best
Yeah.
answers as far as what we can and can't do.
Yep.
I'll keep going back and asking.
Okay,
And I think the price is probably pretty firm as to where we're at, but how can we get there?
yeah,
Yeah, yep,
yeah.
no, appreciate it.
And then hammer on them again if we, pay to get down the street, like I'd say, the neighbors would love it if they could dig their own cable in there. 'Cause we didn't, well, actually, in all honesty, I kind of installed it because they did such a crappy job. I took pictures of them, sent it to Comcast, and the guy even asked me, can I use these and send them up to corporate ladder because it was done so poorly?
Okay, well, and that's true. So to the extent that if there is issues, please let me know.
Yeah.
So I can reach out to the right.
I mean, they
folks.
came and fixed it the next day. The guy was not happy, some guy, so, well, anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
If, like I say, keep in touch with us, because any help you can give is certainly appreciated by
Yes,
the people down the
absolutely.
street.
We'll keep an eye on it and keep working, and I'll be in touch with letters, and as we know, both from the county perspective, and we might ask you to reach out to the county directly.
Okay.
But as we find some of those rules for the county and state office of broadband, and then who knows what else is coming.
And you got them other 3 addresses that weren't there,
I
right?
think so,
You want 'em?
I mean, we can compare, yeah, we can.
You can
compare
just keep
them.
that whole thing.
Okay. I'll compare some notes.
These are
Okay.
them are the extra ones on the right-hand side here.
These are the extra ones?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make
So-
sure they're on my list.
Okay, all right. Okay, thanks. Okay. Next thing, approval of minutes from October.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from October.
I'll second it. Any discussion from the audience? No? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
That's it, the two of us.
That's
Okay.
Scott?
Treasurer's report.
All right, I'll review the October financial statement. Beginning balance of checking was $70,560. We had expenses of $30,296 and revenue of $3,157 for an ending balance of $43,420. Both of our UBS accounts went up, so they're totaling $503,805. Expenses year over year were significantly lower because we had road work last year. That was $135,000, so that's why the expenses were so much lower this year. And revenue was way down, and that's because last year we actually withdrew $30,000 from our UBS account. to cover it. That showed up as a revenue line item. So looking at the fund balances now that we're getting closer to the end of the year, general purpose, we've overspent a bit. A big part of that was legal fees so far. Public safety, we're done spending for the year, so we missed that budget by about 2%. And road and bridge, I think we're gonna get close to that number. So year to date, we're running a $5,000 deficit, which isn't too alarming. Nothing else to report. Any questions?
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
I'll second that.
Any questions or comments from anybody? Nope. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, bills.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills for $21,448.34.
I'll second that. Any questions or comments from the residents? No? Well, all in favor of paying bills 145 through 158, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
It's the bills. Reports planning committees. Planning Commission didn't meet. Next Planning Commission meeting is tentatively set for Monday, December 6th at 6:30. Next Town Board meeting is Wednesday, December 8th at 7. And I don't know of any other meetings, do you? Oh,
I would like to mention that we received a call a week before the election from Cottage Grove. They were asking if we had 1 or 2 election judges that would be willing to help them out. And we had 4 election judges help them out, and at least 2 of those worked the entire day. So kudos to our election judges.
good, yeah. All right, unfinished business, 3M settlement. Who's on that thing?
Paul,
Paul's on that and he's not here. I think I seen an email on that, Cheryl might have seen it. I don't think there's much going on that right now, I don't think.
I thought they finalized it.
Yeah, it's pretty much done as far as we know. Okay, well monitoring, that's me. Once a month I go around with aggregate and we do the well readings. They were all within a foot of where they've been all summer. Over the long run, they have dropped down since they started doing it, and I don't have the numbers with me, but in the last several years, it kind of surprised me. They just stay within a foot all the time. Doesn't seem to matter if it rains or don't rain, or, Tom sent me a thing I was gonna look, I haven't looked at it yet, but I was wondering if they're all right about river level, but I looked at it, it didn't appear like they did. I just kind of glanced at it real quick, but. Roads, Fahrner bid for Geneva, that was to seal coat it, and we got that just for information. We didn't do it, but they did do the crack sealing on there, did that yesterday for us. Any other? Dan? No. New business, new planning commission member.
I'd like to appoint one, and I'm not sure if Paul did also, but I'd like to appoint Eduardo
I'll second that.
to the Planning Commission.
And I think Paul has somebody else in mind too, I think.
Yes, Paul was going to nominate someone this evening, but I received a call shortly before the meeting, and that person had to withdraw.
Oh,
Okay.
Their job is being relocated.
okay.
Okay.
We gotta ask Eduardo if he accept though, I suppose.
Certainly do.
Okay, thank you.
Do so.
MRCCA contract. That's Mississippi River Critical Area Plan. I should let Cheryl cover this, but you want to talk about that and tell them what's involved? She knows more about it than I do.
The township has to complete a MRCCA ordinance by the end of next year. We officially get notice in January that we've got, next year to do it. There's quite a bit involved, and it's beyond the scope of the Planning Commission. So the Planning Commission chairman and I have been talking to different contracting firms throughout this year. And we have 2 bids, one from TKDA, who did our 2040 comp plan, and then one from an independent contractor who worked for TKDA and actually did our 2040 comp plan. She has since retired from TKDA and does some independent contracting. There was one township that I checked with who said they were going to have their attorney do theirs, but they also have, they have more staff and more departments than we do to provide the information necessary for that. And I did check with our attorney, but I don't think he understands what's involved. He said it would take him 2 to 3 hours. So I don't think that's a viable option. So anyway, we have 2 bids. And
Okay, yeah, we got the 2 bids. One's from Toltz King, the other's from Sherry Bus. What I'd like to do is wait till Paul's here and get input from all 3 of us on it,
Okay,
instead of
sure.
me and Dan making a decision on it.
okay,
But just give you an example, we get these documents from these people, and they're always in some type of format that we can't edit. Okay, now I might be wrong, because I was looking at it tonight, and it looks like if you have, what do you call it, a certain PDF thing you pay for, you can convert their PDFs back to a Word
Oh,
thing.
sure.
Now, do you have that or no?
No.
No, okay, well, we might have to get that, but what I'd like to see is, okay, let me back up a little bit. Sherry Buss, she asked for documents from us if we give her this job in Word format. Well, we don't have them documents in Word format. And people like her and every other consultant out there don't give them to us in Word format. So I'd like to, whichever one of these we take, whatever we get back from them, I want it in a format that we can edit. Because some of this stuff comes back and we have to edit it, update it. Well, instead of paying somebody $3,000 to do this, it might be something we can do. Or example, just our ordinances. Like I had in here, you know, they talked about updating some of our zoning ordinance. Well, some of the updates we could do in-house, or even if we want to change a zoning ordinance, say we want to just add a few sentences or paragraphs to it on our own, it's tough to do when we can't edit it. You know, we make a mess out of it is what we do. So it'd be nice whichever one of these we hire to give us the stuff back in a format that's usable to us. But anyway, I'd like to table this until all 3 of us are here. Paul's sick tonight, so. Any comments from people? Yeah, go ahead, Eduardo.
Just a quick question, order of magnitude of the bids?
Little, yeah.
$6,000, like 6,100, 6,300.
Yeah, and do you know the planning commission is even gonna take a look at them, or I know it's outside of the scope of what the planning commission can do, but can they weigh in, or maybe that?
They will work with the contractor.
But not on the award of who should do it?
No, just Cliff has been involved.
Got it. But Cliff, yeah, is involved. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we can talk offline about that conversion, I can help out with that, we've got a lot of it.
Okay. Anything else on that? No? No, it just kind of bugs me when these upper governments tell us to do stuff and it's going to cost us $6,000-$7,000 and you know, it's just, and they don't give you any money to do it. It's just do it, you know. Some other community, like example, Cottage Grove, it ain't going to cost them much more to do theirs than us, but they spread that thing out amongst 40,000 people. We spread it out amongst 125 homesteads. So anyway, okay. Next one I put on here was Police Contract 2023. The reason I brought that up is we have to make a decision as a community coming up here what we're going to do, because we're not financially rich. I mean, we're not broke, but we spend $100 and some thousand a year, St. Paul Park Police Contract. And that's what, Scott, about half our budget for the year? Yeah, so 50% of our budget is going to them for the police. Okay, the county has to do it the sheriff's department for free for townships in the county. But some of the residents want to do that, some of the residents don't want to do that. But the reason I put it on here is the last time it was brought up, they said, well, we can't just sever our contract with St. Paul Park, they need a notice, and they talked to the sheriff, and the sheriff said he needs a notice so they can plan on doing it. And I don't want to get caught in where, yeah, we want to do this, and they say, oh, well, geez, you're too late, you should have done this 6 months ago. You know, I want to be able to get it timely so that doesn't happen to us. Were you at the meetings with them, Cheryl, when they talked about that, didn't you? Or what is the timeline on it, or when would we have to make a decision?
Well, we met with Sheriff Starry in the summer.
Yep,
So it must have been like July.
June or July or something, yeah.
And they were just finishing up their budget, and so it was too late for 2022. So I would think by summer.
Okay, and what about St. Paul Park? We haven't signed a contract with them for 2022 yet, have we? They kind of usually send it out.
I thought we did for next year.
Yeah,
I think we did.
did we?
I think we were looking at, we'd be able to do this for 2023 if
Yeah,
community.
yeah, I think that's what they decided at the annual meeting. We'd stay with what we got for 2022, but I'm looking at 2023. So it'd be nice if we figured out what we were gonna do by, I would say by February. You know,
Is this something we should be doing like we did with the building the township thing or something, like a poll that send something out to everybody? Or how do we get everybody's opinion and involvement and getting people together for discussion?
well,
It's a big decision.
like a town hall, you know, Cheryl sent out a newsletter, and what'd we get, 15 comments back?
Right.
Not a lot.
But
And
that, you
half
know-
were for, half were against.
And that was a rather vague question. You know,
Yeah.
would you be for or against? I
Yeah.
think this would need a little more detail.
Right.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's our best way, or it'd just be nice to be able to get everybody's impact and just so people are really aware
Right.
of, you know, what's at stake with it.
and we need to do this before our annual meeting,
Yep.
you know, because that's in March, and I'd sooner,
Okay,
I'd like to make a decision
okay.
at the February meeting what we're gonna do, so we can not be tied in for another year.
You should go door to door, you're retired.
I'm busy driving bus.
Would that be a good thing for like a referendum question, maybe on the next national election, where we actually do get quite a bit of direct community, you know?
That pushes you out to basically
To
2020,
2024.
yeah, which would be
Yeah.
2025 implement.
Yeah.
So
I-
we got,
It would push it- it would
we got a
push
lot
it
of
down
road
the
work
road,
and
but
stuff coming up, but yeah,
I just don't see a lot of, I mean, there's 6 people in the room, and
you guys would have a lot to say.
that's.
You know, I can tell you a little history on it. We used to have our own police officer down here, and it ended up being cheaper, or say the same at the time, to go with St. Paul Park. Because we had one part-time police officer, and I forget what the cost was, but with training requirements and insurance and a police car, and then he's really only working 24 hours a week or whatever for us. We went to St. Paul Park, and a lot of people thought the end of the road was gonna come. We lost our cop. Well, the end of the road didn't come. Okay, and then when they met with the sheriff, I know the sheriff made the comment, well, I can't give you the same level of service St. Paul Park is giving you. Well, you're kind of asking one police department to underbid another police department, and, yeah, you know what I mean, it's a little bit of protection amongst officers there. Okay, the county has no choice but to provide us decent police protection. They can't say, well, you're at the end of the line here, we ain't gonna do much for you. You know, they're mandated by law to do it. You know, right now, we're paying for police twice. Our county taxes are going to the county, we're paying for the sheriff. Yet we turn around, we don't use that service, we're paying St. Paul Park $100,000. It wouldn't affect ambulance. Ambulance comes out of South Washington County ambulance. Fire would still come out of St. Paul Park. And when we've asked residents about it, it's been a 50-50 split. I haven't seen one way or the other. And the ones that don't answer probably don't care, you know, so. But anyway, we got to figure out, we can do that in December, how we want to get some feedback. If we do another newsletter, we can put it in there, get your input, but we should get a few facts and figures of what, why, and how. I'm just looking at, when we had our annual meeting, you know, we asked for more money for roads. You know, that was, I think, 6 people voted for and 9 against. You know, so that wasn't one way or the other. So nobody wanted to fork out any money for that, but we're forking out $100,000 for the sheriff's department. That $100,000 will go a long way toward roads for us each year. So, but anyway, done with that.
I have a question about that.
Sure.
So if you use, like the county, they're just gonna come out when you call.
Yep.
You're not gonna be out. Like, I feel like I see the St. Paul Park Police a lot, and people know they're not out patrolling. Like, I think residents need to know that.
Yeah,
Like, it's good to know they'll come out when you need them, but if they're never around here, we already have enough teenagers and people speeding and all that, like, so
Yep.
I'm,
That's
like,
where-
a list of what are the
Yeah.
differences?
That's a huge one, and like, for me, you can't promise it, but if I'm a St. Paul Park police officer, I'm doing the Gray Cloud Island Drive a couple times a day, no matter what, you know, but you gotta have that laid out, yeah.
Yeah.
We might not have that, and the sheriff, I mean, I think they have to do at least one drive-through a day or something, but we'd have to look into all that and get all that information, and it's,
Let
yeah,
people know.
yep, exactly.
The differences are.
That and the back statistics, I think is really important, like, their drive-through every, what do they see? Like,
Right.
how many speeding tickets have they?
If you're not going the same way, you're not seeing nothing,
The
yeah.
data is really important to show for the money, and there's the logos, right? Where's the logic? And if people don't come out and share, you've given your opinion and it's your vote, they voted
Yeah.
you in, so then you get to decide what's financially best for us.
well, that's part, you know, well, part is, you know, our job is to do what the residents want. You know, if the residents want to keep paying $100,000 a year for police, it don't really matter what I think, it's what the majority of the residents want, but anyway, talk to your
You know,
neighbors, talk to people. You know, a lot of people have said just what you said back there, you know, and it has been kind of before when we talked about this, all of a sudden you see more St. Paul Park Police down here for a while. So, you
I
know,
mean, Dick, if we actually build that long-term road plan,
Yep.
that will help make this police decision. Because we may only need to do Washington County for 2 years, put that money into road and bridge fund that we're saving,
yeah,
and invest it, and we might be fine, and we could go back to St. Paul Park if
Yeah.
we found that the service wasn't where we needed to be.
yeah, I like Denmark Township, they use, I should have wrote it down, there's a number of the communities that use the sheriff's department. We wouldn't be the only one.
Newport uses them.
Well, Newport's Newport's a different deal. I
That's
don't like
right.
comparing
They pay
us
for
to
officers,
Newport
though.
because Newport actually contracted with the sheriff's department. It's not like the sheriff's department is providing a service for them. That's a standalone contract.
Could we reach out to Newport? I mean, is there a way we could pitch in a bargain deal to get a couple drive-bys? Is that an avenue we could even look at, or not really?
No, I wouldn't think so
We s-
because,
We started down that path.
Okay,
Scott and I looked at the numbers we looked at what a halftime, and it was like 80,000 a
Okay.
year, so we're practically up
Yep.
to where we are now.
no, I'd like to just see a big turnout. I'm with Dick. I got my opinion on it, but I'd like to do what residents want, and the bigger turnout we can get on it and get the majority. That's what I'd
Yeah.
like to see.
personally, I don't think we'll get a consensus on it. You know, this can's been kicked down the road for about 5 years, but,
Well, and
Okay.
I don't know that we have all the information or all the answers to the questions that people want, because the sheriff's office
They don't
can't,
underbid.
you know, they need the word from us, yes, we plan to go ahead with this, and then they'll find out, you know, then they'll figure out, well, who are we gonna have for backup? Do we need to add more staff? You know, how many times a day will they be able to drive by?
and another thing, when you ask the sheriff's department, you know, we want to replace St. Paul Park with you guys, that's kind of stepping on somebody else's toes. I mean, you got to read between the lines. Of course, he isn't going to say, well, yeah, we'll do as good a job or better job than them. You know, and it's got nothing to do with a better job or worse job. You know, we have no complaints about the St. Paul Park Police Department. It's just $100,000. That's the only complaint. It's all monetary is what it, in my mind, not they're doing a bad job. Okay. What else we got? Anything else, Dan? You got anything?
No?
No? The only other thing I wrote down was seal coating. We can get in on, when the county was down there, county was very good to us. They came down, they said they have a annual seal coat contract somebody bids on, and they award it. And they said, we can get in on that. So I'm assuming it's cheaper than if we call an asphalt company, we want this seal coated, if we can go in on their contract. So me and Cheryl are gonna look into that, or Cheryl and I.
See, I'd add one with Eduardo. I don't know. I really appreciate everything you do, getting involved with the community. I'd welcome you to the planning commission, and it's great to have people that want to get involved, so appreciate it.
Yeah, Eduardo, he's the only one that sent me a letter interested. Usually down here, it's trying to find somebody, so. What else? I see Ted back there.
I didn't know you could see that.
Oh, yeah, you ain't hiding back there. Where are we at with this? Give an update on these conditional use permits for whatever you want to call that for these rentals?
Well, the three of you need to talk about it and come to a consensus so that the planning commission can go ahead with an ordinance if that's what's necessary.
And how long we got to do that? Just so
Till the
we
end
get-
of the year.
Till the end of the year. Okay. The only thing I might want to add, Ted, is, plan ahead a little bit. We haven't come to a decision, the three of us, on what to do, but, just my own personal opinion, but it takes all three of us, is, we got to talk to our attorney yet. That's what we were suggesting to Cheryl earlier, that 3 board members and our attorney get together, figure out the best avenue to go here. I'm kind of looking at, the only complaints we've had are none from residents, Great Cloud residents that I know of. Okay, just a St. Paul Park resident. Okay, but even so, whether the noise is coming from a rental unit, like Ted runs, or my neighbor, what's the difference where the noise comes from? I think they should be treated the same. What goes on in the homes is not near as much of my concern as bothering the neighbors. Because I know some people have suggested just ban short-term rentals altogether. Well, I'm not totally in favor of that at this point, but, just for coming up, because I know you've got the place rented for next summer, well, you keep in mind you may not be able to make outdoor noise next summer. Just kind of a heads up. We don't know where we're going. Takes all 3 of us and our attorney, but I figured it'd be better to give you a fair warning than come along in May and say, hey, by the way. That sound fair enough?
Well, to me, all we have right now is several police reports with police coming out and documenting that there was no noise problem. That's what we have so far.
Yeah.
So, if it wasn't for the fact that the police came out and wrote a police report, it would be my word against his word.
Yeah.
But we don't need to do that. We have a police report that says they came out when they were called and there's no problem with the noise.
Yeah.
Is there noise? Yeah, there's noise. I live 500 feet from where they dynamite rock out of the ground. There's noise all around. But they decided that it was a reasonable amount of noise.
Yeah.
So, that's my opinion.
Okay. Well, that's something we got to take into consideration, so.
And Dick, if I may.
Yeah.
I'm not in this fight, but for what it's worth, just procedurally, if we were gonna put in an ordinance or some kind of, rule around this, we would have to think about the fact that there was no rule before, and that if people have commitments, there's usually a period that is, in this case, for planning, that would be 6 and 8 months, I don't know, like how things work. That is the reasonable amount of, hey, if this activity exists within a long period of time, it has to cease or be controlled in a specific way. Otherwise, people are caught by surprise and not, I don't want to say grandfathered in, but caught by surprise in the implementation. So I'm no attorney, not want to give, this is non-binding, but normally as any guidelines that would restrict additional, let's just say, behavior need to be respectful or aware of the circumstances that they're going into. So just wanted to throw that out so it doesn't sound like, well, in April you may find out that in June you can't do X, Y, Z. That's usually not the way these things are coming. Right?
We, we did get feedback from our attorney on just what you're talking about, but I'm gonna save that for us three board members and our attorney, and which direction we wanna go on that, so.
Yeah,
But,
attorneys usually will guide you in whatever direction you want,
yeah,
right?
right.
That's their job.
And I think he's looking for a little direction from us, and that's, I was hoping to get together with all of us and Paul and figure out what we wanna do. So we'll probably have to do that at our December meeting, I'm thinking. So, anything else?
Just had one question. We had a code enforcement payment. Did that nuisance property get taken care of, resolved on its own, or did we have to?
Which one's that?
Tucker's?
Don't even talking about every
Yeah.
month for a year.
We got two of them.
8762.
That's done.
Did you take care of it, or did you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
okay. Okay, good.
off the table for now.
Okay, good.
And we should be getting our bill for the crack sealing on Geneva.
Yep.
And we didn't get a bill for the sign from Cottage Grove, did we? Maybe they won't. They were nice enough to put one up, a no-wake sign at the culvert for us. I requested them to do that, so they did that. The other one up past your house by Ted's, I put that one up, so. Anything else from anybody else? Go ahead, Tom. You can if you want people to hear you.
Township, General Manager, Aggregate Industries. General information reported to the board. The season's winding down. With the weather the way it is, we may got a week or two left to run. We're looking at getting our blasting committee, or our blasting group that we had historically put back together. Goal would be to try and involve a planning commission member, a board member, and, community members strategically around the community. And so we'll try to get that up and running here before the end of the year, review results of this year's blasting, and then be ready to have that group meet more regularly in the 2022 season. So, informational
Okay.
purposes.
And I don't think, Cheryl, we haven't, as long as he's up here, I don't think we've had any complaints on blasting for a long time, have we?
Not to me.
No, not to me either. So you must be doing something right down there. I mean, it's kind of good for you to know that. I mean,
Okay, so nothing formally has come through the board on
No.
blasting. I've gotten,
No.
to be transparent, I've gotten a call or two from neighbors. I've
Okay.
gone out and visited a few and we've talked about some
Okay.
things, so.
Thanks for cutting us out.
So,
And then, just for the public's information, I think, 2 times this summer they asked for additional hours for trucking? I think that's, wasn't it, Cheryl, just
yeah.
twice?
It was,
And the board granted it, and as far as I know, we had no complaints, just so. Okay, anything else? If not, we're
Thanks
gonna
for doing
adjourn.
that. Thank you.
Okay, make a motion, we adjourn.
Second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
We, okay.